I had to press the record button like 3 times. Man. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Justin, and today I am bringing you my album review of Kansas album Leftoverture. This is their fourth album, released in 1976. As with most of the album reviews, I will put a playlist down below where you can go and watch my first listens and initial thoughts on each of the tracks in this album. But without further ado, let's go. Listening to this album has been quite a journey because on first few listens, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Then on the next few listens, I thought it was really good. Then I think I came down to my final kind of conclusions on my final thoughts, where I feel like this is a really good album. Not like one of my favorites and not something that I would personally listen to all the time, but it is a really good album with a lot of solid riffs, melodies. They do a great job of balancing hard rock riffs with progressive leanings and even a little bit of folk flavoring. A lot of the lyrics and the words are sung with a lot of conviction, a lot of heartfelt passion. Sometimes it hits, other times kind of misses the mark. And even though I have a few mixed feelings and some reservations on this one, I think that you come away with it pretty impressed. Especially opening the album with Carry On Wayward Son. That song is just a classic. Immediately, do you really even need to think about it? The a cappella opening kind of acts as a doorway into the album, and through which the band eventually just crashes through. Livgren's guitar blazes a trail in this one, leaving us in the ashes of the verses, with soft piano lines and soft vocals. And I mean, the chorus is kind of catchy. Even if you don't like this song, it's going to be stuck in your head. The movements and the flow and the progression in this one is also handled very nicely, moving from hard and catchy into emotional and stirring. Then the back half of it is just filled with guitar solo-y goodness. And one thing I appreciate about this song, and actually a decent amount of the tracks in this album, are that there are progressive movements, but it doesn't feel progressive. It doesn't feel indulgent or self-important. It's a perfect way to balance each of the band members here and show a facet of the band as a whole, while also showcasing their individuality. Moving into the second track, The Wall, once again, they nailed the opening. This one sounds really epic. I love the soaring guitar that comes out of this one. There's a lot of dramatic flair, some classical overtones as well. And especially as we move into the verse, which is filled with clavinets and some very convincing and once again, passionate outcry from the singing. Steinhardt, I love the way that he sneaks in on this song with the violin. He just kind of weasels his way in there. But when he's in there, he ain't leaving. There's a really nice bass run from Dave Hope as well, maybe about halfway in the song, in the midst of a guitar solo, which once again, is just fiery. Ehart shows his strength in the drums, providing a lot of the rhythmic groove, of course, naturally, duh, it's drums, but he also adds a lot of precision, and you can hear the heart behind his pounding. And then we get a nice little emotional violin solo to send us off. There's no wall to be hit on this one. No, we crashed through the wall, we crashed through the open door before, we're going strong. What's on My Mind is also a track that I feel would be a really good single from the band. Carry On is probably the best single that they could have released, but I think What's on My Mind would have been another nice one. You got a hard rockin' riff, it's irresistibly catchy once again. That break makes me rock out. It's just a very fun track. Definitely a fan of the group harmonies returning, especially on this one. With the bass on top, it's just like icing on the cake. And I love the way that they just jam out in the final verse. They're just having fun. And I've watched a few live videos of them playing certain songs on this album, and they just sound like they're having a great time. They're having the time of their lives up there. And then in the final few seconds of this track, the band just decides to get down. They change, they shift on themselves, and they just get down on this break. And I wish that we got to hear a little bit more of that, because I was really liking where the ending of this song was going. But it's okay. It's always good to leave the audience wanting more. And I did want more. Miracles Out of Nowhere is the first track on this album that I come to, and I have just a little bit of mixed thoughts on it. On one hand, it starts off really interesting. I like this kind of moodier, darker tone that the track opens up with. It sounds a little more reflective, a little more thoughtful, especially in the keys, the violin, and the acoustic guitar. And the next few moments out of that are incredibly melodic. And I really like the synth kind of running through the veins in this track. The pre-chorus begins to pick things up, as you would expect, But I gotta admit that I don't really enjoy the way he says, "It's just love and miracles out of nowhere." I don't know why, but just the way he sings that specific line kind of adds a cheesiness to the rest of the track that I'm not really partial to. The build up in the break is really nicely constructed with the instruments kind of slowly layering on top of each other, building up to a nice melody and a nice climax. And then we kind of move into this awkward dance of synth and piano and violin. It's kind of awkward in the way that it transitions, even though I would admit that it does sound kind of cool. It's kind of in this moment that the band starts to do some more instrumental and breaks, and it begins to feel just a bit like unnecessary. It feels a bit like filler, like they're just throwing in these sections just to have them there, just to make the song go longer. And I don't know, I'm not really a fan of that. Like, if you listen to it on its own, like, it's a good solo, it's a good little jam, but I just don't feel like it adds anything to the rest of the song that was going on beforehand. It might sound kind of cool, but I think it lessens some of the emotional impact. Opus insert begins with the glistening of some opening synth lines. It's kind of a cool setup here, and it leads me to think that the song may feature, once again, something a little bit different. Maybe they're trying to change things up tonally just a little bit. And while it doesn't really lead into anything that changes, I do think it sounds pretty cool still all the same. There's also a nice contrast in the verse between the higher tempo gallops and the rustic laid back harmonies here. The break signals a nice change of pace, which is, we know what a break should do. We receive some steady and strong vocals that just kind of burst out and explode. The bridge then changes into a bit of a, I don't know, little piano synth prog jam thing that once again just feels a bit unnecessary. It once again kind of weakens everything that was built up before. Now, I do love the breezy harmonies and the piano that comes in afterwards. The ending chorus is a nice wrap up, and overall I think that's a nice welcome back track into side 2 of the album. Questions of My Childhood is probably the weakest track on the album for me. I do like the burning synthly that opens it up before it settles into a kind of passive verse. I'm not really a fan of, I guess, the overall tone of this one, and some of the lyrics really come across, in my opinion, like a little bit pretentious. Once again, we're kind of getting towards that cheesy factor. The music sounds emotional and it sounds passionate, but I don't really feel it. I'm not connecting with this one. I don't doubt the sincerity and the thought behind the music. I'll never doubt the heart behind the music and the lyrics, but it just sounds a little bit melodramatic to me, the way that it comes across. It's straddling the line of cringy a little bit. The violin solo is kind of nice. Cheyenne Anthem returns the heart. This is probably, in my opinion, the most heartfelt that we get from the band on this output. This track is just very, very thoughtful, very well written, very respectfully written as well. I like these crystal-like synths that open up the track and are present throughout as well, kind of writing in the undercurrents. I think it's a song like this that really captures the band at their most mature, in the songwriting, in the musical writing. I really love the little break, maybe about 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, with the piano, the violin, the warm padding of the bass. That's a moment that like just stays with me. And then kind of reminding me of a native people being removed and kicked out of their land, the track begins to speed up into a fast and locomotive-like pace with some really interesting back and forths musically. I'm not a huge fan of some of the synth tones and sounds in this section, but regardless, I do have to say that it is excellently executed. And then how awesome is it that these ghostly choirs begin to echo in the veils of the song in the ending, almost like the people who have been removed, killed, murdered, are still crying out from their land. That is beautiful. That is a really nice touch. And once again, goes back to the mature songwriting. Very, very appropriate, especially with, once again, the synth, the violin, the piano occurring and rising with it. Then we get into the final track on the album, which is appropriately named Magnum Opus, because this feels like they were really, really, really pushing on this album. This sounds like they sat there and wanted to write their magnum opus. The first few moments on this one are honestly like perfection. They are absolutely stunning. I am really in love with the first few minutes in this track. One aspect I don't particularly like though is it feels like they have a need to overextend a little bit. Like they have to move into some progressive break or extended passages that don't quite fit into the song. Like they have such a good thing going at certain points, and then they kind of toss that away and get into some other mess. Even though I find the transition and the shift into those moments a little awkward, I'm kind of once again convinced as we, kind of dive deeper into it, because there's some really impressive musical moments in there. The synth and the violin rule in here in certain moments, even reminding me of Gentle Giants a bit in just their back and forth and the melodies. And then there's a section where some very mysterious and moody keys begin to create an ominous atmosphere and heavy guitars thrash forward. Like, there is a lot of interesting stuff going on. I just don't know if it kind of fit with the beginning. But whatever, it sounds cool. The whole break feels like the releasing of some pent-up passion and mastery and potential energy that they've been holding back just a little bit. Like, they've given us a lot, but they held back a little bit, and now we're finally getting that. And the ending is very big, very well deserved, a very good way to end the album. Anyways, so those are just a few of my thoughts on the individual tracks on the album, but now let's get into my favorite moment, my favorite lyrics, and the song rankings for this one. So my favorite moment on this album is the opening of The Wall. I just love how it erupts. I love the guitar. Like, it's just so melodic, it's so powerful. The whole track is really good, but it's just a really, really solid way to open up the second track. Because openers on an album, Carry On, are expected to kind of, kick you into high gear, kick you into the album. The second song is the one that makes you stay, and The Wall keeps me. My favorite lyrics on the album are from Cheyenne Anthem, and they are as follows. Soon these days shall pass away, for our freedom we must pay. All our words and deeds are carried on the wind, in the ground our bodies lay, here we'll stay. I think the whole story and the way it's written once again shows a lot of maturity from Kansas, pays a lot of respect to the native people, specifically of the Cheyenne tribe. But the last words of them that he writes down, in our bodies lay, here we'll stay. Before in the song, they were talking about being wed to the land, being married to the land, and bonded to the land. So they are bonded in life and in death. And I think that it comes across with a lot of power, a lot of passion, a lot of meaning, and to me, most of all, a lot of heart. And then getting into my song rankings for the album, Carry On Wayward Son, The Wall, Magnum Opus, What's on My Mind, Cheyenne Anthem, Miracles Out of Nowhere, Opus Insert, Questions of My Childhood. So as I kind of mentioned in the outset, I think that this is a very strong album. I wouldn't personally rank it like in one of my greatest albums ever, and I wouldn't even put it in a greatest albums list. But I do think that it's well deserved in its recognition, in its acclaim, and I think the band really shows that they can write a really strong and mature song with catchy hooks, melodic lines, and incredible instrumentation. Thank you guys so much for being here and for watching this video. Hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day here with me. And hope you have a wonderful one, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.